The following is paid programming.
It's time to talk taxes.
New friends, new opportunities, new partners. EG Tax.
It's Ask the Tax Lady with Esther Gulius and EG Tax on News Radio 930 WBEN. To reach Esther now, call 803-0930. Toll free at 1-800-616-9236. And cell calls are free at star 930. And now, live from the WBEN studios, it's Esther Gulius.
Hey, everybody, this is the Tax Lady, and we're going to talk taxes and hopefully open your eyes and teach you some stuff so that when you're doing your return or you're looking at your finances, you understand about your own return. And by the way, we'd love to hear what you have to say. Our phone number here in studio is 803-0930. 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone, or you can text us. Our text number is 716-803-0930, and I have my buddy Chris with me. Hey, Chris.
Hello, Esther.
Hello, Christopher. So, okay, wanted to start off with, as a matter of fact, and by the way, if you have any questions, you can always go to our website at egtax.com, ask the tax lady, and I will respond to you right away. As right away as I can get to it anyway. But one of the things that I see a lot is inheriting houses and property and leaving houses
Quote,
and who
unquote.
gets what and who does a trust and all that kind of stuff. And I just had somebody emailed me just before the show about an irrevocable trust. And what happened last year regarding irrevocable trust, Chris?
Well, they say that there is no more inherited value on irrevocable trusts. And I know there are some law firms out there saying, well, that's not true. We can still do a stepped-up basis. And it's very confusing. It's very, so, I mean, you got to look at a trust. When you're going in for a trust, make sure it's your right tool. It's your right avenue you want to
But of course, if you already had an irrevocable trust established,
it's hard.
I mean, you just kind of like shot yourself in the
Yeah.
well, you didn't shoot yourself in the foot. The IRS did because they changed the rules last year.
Yep.
And so if you are someone who had a house that was put in an irrevocable trust and finally they passed away and now you want to go back and get a stepped up basis, according to the IRS, that is not doable. Now, maybe your attorney can undo it, but based upon everything we see, you don't get a stepped-up basis. It goes back to the donor's original basis, plus improvements, plus expensive sale, expensive purchase, and if there was another spouse that had passed away before the irrevocable trust, they'd get a half stepped-up basis. But that's it.
Right.
All right. That's what I wanted to talk about.
Tax plan before you do anything.
Right. And I'm going to tell you something. If you're somebody who is has an irrevocable trust in their future or your family's future, go talk to your attorney to see if it can be undone, because as far as I can see, that's what the IRS said. You don't get a stepped up basis.
Right.
Okay, I'm Esther Gulius, the tax lady from EG Tax, 803-0930, 803-0930, star 930 on a cell phone. You can text us at 716-803-0930. I wanted to talk today about the difference between a credit and a deduction. Now, a credit is a dollar for dollar you save the money,
Yes.
right? Some credits are refundable. That means they paid you even though you didn't pay the IRS.
Right.
They pay you.
They're giving you money.
They're giving you money. Some are not refundable. They only reduce the tax liability. But they are really, really important. For instance, let's say that I have a client that's in the 10% tax bracket, right?
Yep.
And he could get the $600 credit for Windows, let's say, right?
Right.
What would that be if it was a deduction?
Well, that would be like a $6,000 IRA contribution.
Right. I mean, that's what's so interesting about credits. When you get a $600 credit, if you were to put that into tax bracket computation, 10% of 6,000 is 600. So when you're saving $600 in taxes because you did energy conservation, that's the equivalent of a $6,000 deduction at 10%.
Right. And I know there's some listeners going out there, but if they bought Windows, they had to buy the Windows, Esther. So what's the difference? Well, Windows is a 30% credit up to $600. So if you spend $2,000 on one window or two windows, you're going to get a $600 credit.
And that's
So
why we
that's
say
still a savings over.
if you can spread that out over a number of years, because if you buy $40,000 in Windows, it's still going to be $600.
Yep.
But if you did $3,000 in Windows, and then next year $3,000 in Windows, you would really you'd multiply that out. But the important thing is, it's a credit. It's not a deduction.
Yep.
A lot of times my clients will say, and don't forget my $300 union dues. Well, at 10%, you want to know what the union dues saves you? $30, if you can itemize.
And that's New York State.
That's New York State only. So the important thing is, if you can get a credit, credits are the real money makers,
right.
right? I'm Esther Gilius, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. Text us at 716-8030930. And we have Jeremy calling in from Lewiston. Hey, Jeremy, how can we help you?
Hey, hi, guys. A couple quick questions. First, before the main question, a friend of mine sent me a press release from the Treasury Department on March 2nd, basically from saying that BOI is over, except for foreign entities. True?
What do you mean over?
It's been nullified by the Trump administration. It's not required.
No,
He's
it's
talking about getting
right,
rid of it.
But as of this is like a volleyball here. It's boing, boing, boing. So it started off, you had to do it. Then they said the courts were blocking it. Then they said it wasn't blocked. And as of right now, BOI is you still have to do it. But here's the thing: it's a simple form to do. They're really just wanting to know who is the owner of the Subchapter S limited liability company or partnership. And so, if you don't want to tempt fate, I would do it.
Okay. Now, just a quick question, because I read that from the Treasury Department itself. But the main
Wait.
question,
When did you see that, Jeremy?
It's March 2nd, 2025 date from the press release from the Treasury Department on their website, U.S. Treasury.
We will double check with our BOI expert on Monday when she's back in the office, and we'll let you know next Saturday.
Yep, we will, Jeremy.
Thank you so
but
much.
know, there's nothing wrong with doing it.
Yeah, I understand.
I know.
The
Sometimes
overreach
it's just
thing,
a pain
but
in the
I
neck
get it.
when somebody's compelling you to do something you don't want to do. I
Yeah,
understand it, but yeah.
Now, the main question.
Okay, hey, thanks for calling,
No,
Jeremy.
he's got more questions.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I had just the main question was a female friend of mine is a floral designer. She works out of her house, and she has a bedroom that she uses for an office and a kitchen that she does the process. She's telling me that she can deduct things like her roofing and her foundation, anything to do with the house, because she's running the business out of the house. Is that true? You can deduct all those things?
All right, so here's the thing. If you qualify for an office in your home because you have a room set up regularly and exclusively for business. Now, her kitchen is not regular and exclusive unless she's not eating in there. And she
And
turned
not
it all
cooking and
into
not doing-
So an office and home deduction includes that entire structure divided by the percentage of usage over a 39-year period. So it's like really small.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
if she
so
spent-
she, yeah, go on.
If she spent $39,000 on the roof and everything, and 10% was her office, she gets a $3,900 depreciable item over 39 years,
Which is
so
$100.
$100 a year. She would
Times
get
her
to-
tax bracket. If her tax bracket's 10%, she saved $10.
See, I thought that was more the case because she's claiming she could deduct all that, and I told her
Well,
no. I
she
didn't
can.
think so.
She can.
Not in
And that's why I love talking taxes to people, because they don't realize how really some of the things that they think are so important aren't important at all. They really virtually make a very small deduction. But she does get an office and home, and she will get a percentage of her insurance, her utilities, her repairs to her house, multiplied by that tax usage percentage, then divided by 39 years.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back on the other side.
We are family. I got all my sisters with me.
Hey, I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, and our offices are open 9 to 9, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 on Saturday, and things are really heating up right now. I will tell you, all those forms are out, and they are complicated, lots of them, and I can't believe that people with a lot of these investment portfolios can effectively do the returns themselves. I
Right.
mean, with the 199A, with the foreign credit, with the unearned income, with the qualified dividends, unqualified dividends,
The exempt interest, which
right.
is really then you have to look to see which ones have to be added back
right,
to New York.
right. And by the way, I forgot to mention, we of course are in Naples, in Florida, on Airport Pulling Road, across from Tamiami Ford. So for those listening in Florida, we almost are Florida ourselves today, aren't we?
Yeah, it's hot up here.
Yeah, it actually was. It was 70 degrees yesterday. There was people coming in their flip-flops
And short
and
sleeve shirts.
shorts. It was cool. All right, let's go to some of, and again, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 cell phone. And I kind of would like to invite you, if you are an attorney familiar with irrevocable trust and how you can accomplish that stepped-up basis, I would love you to call us, 8030930, because we can't do it. We're not attorneys. We can just only say to somebody, go see your attorney. And obviously, you'd want to make sure that the attorney knows how to do it, if it can
Right.
be done. All right? Let's go to our text here.
That's what it was about.
Sorry.
It was about irrevocable trust. He said it's if you're allowed to change the beneficiary, then you get the stepped up basis. But how can you change something inside an irrevocable trust?
because
Because
it's
an irrevocable
irrevocable,
means
right.
you can't change it.
So,
So
but by the same token, after reading tax law, law is law. There's always a loophole.
right.
Isn't that true?
Yep.
Just about. Okay, so wanted to talk about, while we're having our calls coming in, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on your cell phone. All right, some credits we were talking about credits. And remember, like I said, if you're in the 10% tax bracket, that means 10% of your taxable income that means your taxable income will be taxed at 10%. By the same token, a deduction is multiplied by 10%. So as you increase the tax brackets that you're in, more and more of your taxes are taxable. You pay more taxes. By the same token, any deduction you have is multiplied by that tax bracket too, but not so in a credit.
Right.
Because in a credit, it is just cash.
Yes.
So some of the refundable credits would be like an earned income credit, and we've talked about it before. But what's the most important feature of an earned income credit, Chris? In to qualify.
You got it. Well, children.
Well,
and
no,
earned
you can be
earned income.
earned income. As a matter of fact, I had this lovely couple that came in this morning, and they had lots of medical bills, and they knew about the earned income credit, but he was retired. And they had their daughter with them, and I said if their working daughter was still their dependent and he had a job, he could have gotten the earned income credit. But in this situation, as a retiree, you don't get it,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So you have to have earned income to get an earned income credit. And the earned income credit is available, and it's a lot of money, too, isn't it? Right?
Yes, it is.
And you can get it not only on the federal, but also on New York State.
Correct.
And the other feature that New York State has is if you are a non-custodial parent, you could also get an earned income credit, even though the child does not live with you on the New York State return.
Right, as long as you're current on your child support and you pay the child support through a New York State collection agency.
Right. So that's another feature that a lot of people don't know about. So the earned income credit is refundable. It's actually money that you never paid in that they're giving you back to assist you in your living expenses. Another refundable credit is the child tax credit. Part of it
Up
of
to
it is.
$1,700 per
Right.
child.
So if you have a child, you get $2,000 to reduce your tax liability. If you've gotten rid of your tax liability, some of it becomes refundable. But something happens when the kid turns 17.
That credit goes away.
But that doesn't mean that the kid goes away.
Right.
So you're still going to get $500 for the child,
Yep.
right? If they're still dependent upon you. But that credit goes from $2,000 to $500. And my clients will say, why are they picking on 17-year-olds?
Right. Yeah. And I tell them all, and believe it or not, there's some 17-year-olds that are in college.
Right. And that's all I can think of is that because the American Opportunity Tax Credit could get you up to $2,500, and the federal and there's like a $400 credit from New York State as well. That they thought, well, it could be that we're going to give the kid $2,000 and they're going to go to college, so this kid is worth like $5,000. So we're just going to make it so that they only get $500.
Right. Yep.
So that's a potentially refundable credit. The American Opportunity Tax Credit, that's partially refundable as well. It has a reduce your tax liability feature and a refundable feature.
Yes. Yeah. So, and that's up to the non-refundable is up to $1,500, and the refundable could be up to $1,000.
Okay, hey, we got a text here. I'd like you to read, Chris.
Sure. You can change beneficiaries if you have a limited power of appointment in your irrevocable trust allowing you to.
So I'm just wondering, why would that have been in the case before the change in the tax law? I mean, the limited power of appointment.
Right. I mean, what is a little limited power of appointment? I know we're not lawyers, so that's where it gets. That's why we always say,
Call your lawyer.
we may play one on TV but we don't play one in real life.
Right. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. You can text us at 716-8030930. Okay, well, that's good to know that if you have a limited power of appointment. Where would you find that on the trust papers? I'm assuming that it would have to be clearly spelled out.
I would assume so. Yes.
Okay. So the American Opportunity Tax Credit, let's talk about that, Chris. How much is it? Who would get it? What's the qualification?
Sure. It's your first 4 years of college. Okay. And it goes it's calendar years, not fiscal years like schools go. Okay. So most kids start college in September. So that first semester counts as year one. Okay. So then you can get up to, like we were saying earlier, $2,500 up to a $2,500 credit on the federal, depending.
Now, if you were in a 10% bracket, that is the equivalent of getting a $25,000 deduction,
Right.
right? Okay, go on. Sorry.
And this is only on $4,000 of tuition. You get the $2,500.
Right.
But you have to back away scholarships and grants, and that includes financial aid.
But
So
let's
it's-
say mom and dad aren't paying for the junior is still at their home going to college, but junior took out all the loans for school. Would he get the AOTC?
Mom and dad do. Whoever has the dependency gets the credit,
Even if the kid paid.
even if the kid
Right.
paid. And the same thing goes through. We talked about custodial, non-custodial. If the child lives with mom, but it's dad's turn to claim the child, dad gets to claim the credit.
Right, right. Which is really big in planning. If you're in the process of getting a divorce, and you're saying, oh well, I'm just going to let George claim the kids, and he's going to pay me child support. You have to realize you're giving up the potential of a $2,000 child tax credit and the AOTC.
Right.
So it's a big thing. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. You can text us at 716-8030930. Okay, another thing that is refundable is non-highway gas tax.
Yeah.
Hello, Chris.
That doesn't go to everybody.
No, it only goes to people, for instance, that are farmers.
Right.
And so they're buying gas up at the NOCO, and they're bringing it to their farm, and they're working their farm tractors and all that stuff. You would get a credit for the gas tax that they're charging you as a refundable credit.
Right. Right. So you got to keep track of what gas is personal, what gas is for your farm.
Yeah, and then another thing is, we're going to break for the news. We're going to have to break for the news. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on the cell phone. We're going to see you on the other side. We're going to break for news. Hey, this is Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. You can text us at 716-8030930. It was interesting with all the tariff talk, right?
Yep.
Had a client that's a car salesperson at one of the big dealerships, and he said they are selling cars like hotcakes because everybody's worried about the tariffs driving the cost of cars up. So, and think about it, if the tariffs do come in and it makes cars expensive, used cars will become
It will be like COVID all over again
Right,
for used
absolutely.
cars.
All right, so we're talking again. We have a couple texts here, but we were talking again about some of the refundable credits. Another one is the premium tax credit. And how do you get that, Chris?
The premium tax credit is when you have health insurance through the New York State marketplace. For those in New York, those in Florida, it's the federal marketplace. So you're supposed to be paying $800 a month, but the government's assisting you and paying $650 of it. So what you have to do on your tax return is doing the reconciliation of your income that you said you were going to make to what you actually made. And sometimes you get it if you overestimated, they're going to give you more money back because you paid too much for your health insurance.
Usually, it's the other way
way
around.
around. Yes.
So if you are signing up for the marketplace, you want to make sure that you are not generous in the non-income that you're claiming. In other words, you think you're going to really have 40,000 and you end up with 60,000, you can end up paying back a lot of the subsidy that they had given you. It's best to be conservative, because if you're conservative and they don't give you that much of a subsidy, at the end of the year, you might qualify for the premium tax credit, which is them giving you the subsidy and kind of one lump sum on your tax return.
Right. And it does get confusing because it does say, what is your anticipated income? But if you're married,
You got a spouse in there.
You got to add in your spouse's income. If you have dependent children,
Who
you
are
have
working.
to you have to add their income in there as well.
Right.
So it is the 8962 could be very costly to
Right,
people.
absolutely. I'm Esther Gillius, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. Text us at 716-8030930. What do we got here, Chris?
We
have
are
grandparents right here?
Yep, we are grandparents age 75 for 2 grandkids. Can we set up a trust for grandkids? How do we file tax returns for the trust? Any tax if trust income is distributed to grandkids every year. Well, you got to file, first of all, you got to go to a lawyer, set up the trust. Then the tax return, the trust, if it's earning income, there is a tax. And
it's a substantial tax.
Right. And you can distribute interest and dividends, but you cannot distribute capital gains. So even though you think, they get to keep all that income that it makes and the principal stays in the trust, but if it's in a stock account and the broker is buying and selling, those capital gains are still going to have to be paid through the trust.
By the trust. And the trust pays at a higher rate than if it were distributed. But yes, you can set up a trust for grandkids, and you file the return on a 1041, and it's wonderful,
Correct.
right?
Yep.
Okay, and then what else we got here?
Let's go to Mike from Hamburg.
Hey, Mike from Hamburg.
Hello, Esther.
Hey.
I called to ask a question. Last year when I did my taxes, I got something called a real property tax relief credit of $350.
Yep.
I was using the free software on the IRS website. So I'm using the same software this year, and I didn't get the credit. I don't know why. Is it because maybe I made more money?
Nope. It's because there is no IT 229 this year.
They discontinued that.
They took it away. So in essence, it was a tax increase.
Okay, a tax increase. Okay,
Because you're not getting the 350 this year, right?
correct. Yes.
So they got you for 350.
Oh, that's what the code means then. 229. Okay, I was wondering what the
229.
code was.
Right.
Yeah, but
But there is no 229 this year.
call Kathy's office.
And say, hey, how come?
Call your senators and say, hey,
Okay.
why did you let this die?
Right, because it really helped a lot of people.
Yes, it did. And she's talking about giving us a rebate this year for all the sales tax that was collected, and I haven't seen a check yet about that.
Well, that's not coming. Supposedly,
Right.
that won't come till October or November.
Right. And so
I see.
the IT 229 that was a refund of part of your taxes, your property taxes, that was in 21, 22, and 23, ended in 23.
Okay. Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to know.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for calling.
Bye.
I'm Esther Gillius, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. We have,
Got another text?
yes?
If I do a 1031 exchange this year, but sell the new property next year, what tax liability would I have?
Well, all the deferral of your gain that you're taking on your 1031 and moving it to the new property. If you sell the new property, the basis is the same as it would have been on the old property, and you pay the taxes.
So you have a property that on books it's worth $100,000 after all the depreciation. You sell it for $500,000, so you have a $400,000 gain. You defer that into the new property you buy for $600,000. Your only basis you're depreciating on that new property is the $100,000 remaining from the other property plus the extra $100,000 you had to put in. So you're only depreciating $200,000. So now if you sell that property for $700,000, you're going to pay tax on $500,000 basically.
Right. So what a 1031 does is it takes the basis from the old property and moves it to the new property, and you don't have to pay taxes on it until you sell that new property that was exchanged when you sold it. Actually exchanged it. So now think about it this way. If you did the 1031 exchange and your basis was low and you continue to rent it out because you have to do it, it's got to be business for business, then you pass away. Your kids get a stepped up basis and nobody pays the taxes on
Right.
it.
I was going to say that's your favorite saying.
Defer, die.
Yep.
Because you're going to die, and anyway, you may as well make sure it's a good tax event. So anyway, I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. Text us at 716-8030930. Okay, so those are some of the credits that are refundable, that they actually give you money for. But there are non-refundable credits, which are also remarkable. I had a client the other day who ended up with a gigantic balance due, and he said, "Oh my gosh, what can I do?" And I said, "Well, you can adopt some kids." And he said, "Well, that doesn't sound good." And I said, "It's $18,000 credit." And he says to his wife, "Let's go to the adoption agency tonight." So the adoption credit is a little over $18,000 for children that you adopt, and that's a non-refundable credit, but it carries forward.
Right. Yep. It will carry forward 5 years. So, and the thing is, too, with the adoption credit, you may not have to pay anything
That's
for
right.
the adoption and still get the $18,000 credit.
So if it's a child that has special needs, now a special needs child might be a child within a sibling group where they like brother and sister to go together. So in that case, you'd get over $36,000 in credits, but you didn't pay anything for the adoption. And they many times they're placed by the county or the state government, and they are the ones that would say this is a special needs group.
Correct.
Right. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 on a cell phone. All right, the other non-refundable credit is a retirement contribution credit, and that's a sweet one too.
Oh, it's a great one. It's for people with moderate income or lower that put away through 401ks, 403bs, IRAs, whether it's Roth or traditional. You can get a credit up to 10% to up to 50% of the money you put away.
Right. And so that's, again, it's a wonderful credit. Now, let's say that you're doing your tax return now and you think, well, how can I get that? It's the year's over. That's not necessarily true. If you don't have a pension plan at work and you'd like to put money into an IRA, you can still do that up till April the 15th and get the retirement contribution credit.
Right.
So it's a thing that you can create yourself. How many times when you say to people, have you thought about putting money in an IRA to save money? And people don't necessarily understand what an IRA is.
Right. And how it can help them.
Right. So basically, it's an individual retirement account that you set up for yourself because you maybe don't have a plan at work, or maybe you missed it contributing to it, and there are limitations based upon income. But if you put it in a traditional IRA, you save whatever you put in up to $8,000 if you're if you're 50 years or older, or $7,000 if you're under 50, times your tax bracket. So if you're in the 30% bracket, and you put in $5,000, you save $1,500.
Right. Right.
And you may get the retirement contribution credit.
I know I've done a lot of people the last couple of weeks where they were able to put in $8,000 and they're like, well, what would it save me? Well, after federal and state, it was over $2,500.
Right.
So, and they're like, well, I don't know. And like, that's a 25% return on investment right there.
And here's the thing. people think that, well, it won't make as much as what my it's invested in now. It's not true. You can set up an IRA in a brokerage account. You can set up an IRA in a savings account. You can do it in CDs. There's all kinds of vehicles that can be utilized to do your individual retirement account.
Right.
And so if you're making X amount of dollars in a non-IRA, be with your broker, you can set up that IRA and have them manage that account for you too. So if you're doing great, you can continue to do great.
Yep.
Plus, save the tax dollars. I'm Esther Gilius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back on the other side.
We are family.
Hey, to us, you are family. I'm Esther Gilius, the tax lady from EG Tax. We have 32 area offices to serve you, offices in Florida as well, on in Naples on Airport Pulling Road. And if you're in that area, we'd love to serve you. If you're up here in Chile, Buffalo, we'd love to serve you as well.
Right, right. And one reminder to people out there, if you own an S Corp or a partnership,
Oh, important thing. Yep.
your deadline to get those returns done is Monday. It's
Right.
actually today, but because today is a Saturday, they give you till Monday to get your return filed. So if you still don't have all your paperwork, you got to file an extension.
Right.
Because the penalty for not filing on time is $200 a month per partner. So it could get up there very fast.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
make sure you get that extension done. if
Okay,
you-
we're talking credits and how valuable credits are. Remember, they're actually dollar for dollar savings. Some of them come to you as extra refunds, and we're talking about some of the non-refundable credits right now. A big one that I've seen this year is the energy credit.
Right. A lot of people doing windows, doing,
Man, them windows are expensive.
oh my gosh, doors. I've seen people hump just their front door, $20,000.
Yeah, I'll tell you. And the credit is not very good on a door.
No.
The big credit is on insulation.
Yes. Yep.
Insulation is the best credit that you can get, So there's doors, windows, furnace, air conditioning, all high efficiency, all Energy Star in order to qualify. They want to make sure that your house is cool in the summer, warm in the winter, all buttoned up, and that's the bottom line.
Which is amazing, and I hate to tell, what about my roof, Esther?
What about it? I know. And they'll say, well, you can't save money on heat if you don't have a roof. I say, that's a good point.
That's I say that's one of the most energy improvement things you can do in your house,
But
and
it doesn't qualify.
it doesn't qualify.
Right, doesn't qualify. But anyway, the energy conservation can get you a credit. The maximum that you're going to get in these credits, so it's great if you can combine them. Like if you have a furnace and central air, you got to remember to peel that off. You have to go back to the installer and say how much of it was for furnace and how much for central air.
Right.
So then you get a $1,200 deduction
Yep.
credit rather than $600. So it's very important.
Yes.
Okay. And we're going to go to Mike in Lancaster. Hey, Mike, how can we help you?
Hey, Esther, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Hey, question for you. What happens in a situation where if you tried to e-file and it kicked back saying somebody else tried to file a return already with in this case it was my wife's social security number?
That's a rejected return, and it has to go in paper.
Okay.
And once somebody took her identity, and then what they're going to do going forward, once they've established that your wife actually is who she is, they'll start giving her a security pin year after year after year, so this doesn't happen again.
You have to send in your return paper along with the form 14039. So 14039. That's the identity theft affidavit.
14039. Got it.
Yep. And then, like Esther said, every year
They're going to send
you're going
you
to get
a
a
letter.
new PIN, a 6-digit PIN every year. It will be different, but you'll get it normally in December, beginning of January, saying, here's your PIN for this year. So the IRS won't take any return with your wife's Social Security number unless that PIN
is with her.
is
And
with it.
and I'm going to tell you something. People that have rejected returns, if you don't fix the problem, it's a non-filed return. So you could be waiting till Kingdom Come. You're not going to get your refund. So you got to make sure that whatever the IRS is objecting to that was done on your return, that you correct it. And if it's specifically that this Social Security number was used, you just have to you send it in paper, and it's going to take a long time to get your money.
Okay. And it was
Okay.
14039.
Yep.
Okay.
All right,
That's all I
Dave,
need to
thanks for
know. Thank
calling.
you.
Bye-bye. It's just frustrating. And if they gave you a PIN and you go to file and you don't put it on the tax return, it's going to reject.
Right. Yep.
So
And knock on wood, we haven't seen any identity letters yet this year.
I know, isn't that something?
Oh, let's not jinx it. But I know
So
I've
the
had-
identity letter is what they were sending out the last couple of years at random. And there were I've even had seniors like 95 years old that said, Esther, I called the IRS and they would want me to come down. And I don't drive. It was so sad. My gosh, I feel so bad for these people. At random, they would make you prove your identity. And if you didn't get your refund.
right. And I've had people who had to do it 2 years in a row,
Yep.
which I'm like, wait, what?
Yep, absolutely. I'm Esther Golias, the tax lady from EG Tax, 8030930, 8030930, star 930 in a cell phone. Text us at 716-8030930. Okay, foreign tax credits are non-refundable. And I always turn my tax returns around to show everybody what I'm doing. Then I say, okay, and you have a foreign tax credit of $45. And they say, where did that come from?
How do I pay foreign taxes?
Right. It was on the brokerage statement because your mutual fund is investing in things all over the place, different businesses, and some of them are outside the country, and they pay foreign taxes, and as a result, you would get a foreign tax credit, which
Right.
reduces your tax liability.
Yep. So, yeah, check those brokerage statements out very carefully. Because
Okay,
that's where
and
they
then
usually-
another non-refundable credit is the lifetime learning credit, which is similar to the American Opportunity Tax Credit, but this is for people attending universities and higher education that don't qualify for the American Opportunity Tax Credit because they've already gone to school for 4 years.
Correct.
And you get a 20% credit on the first $10,000 you spend on tuition,
Yes.
right? And it doesn't, and you get nothing on New York State.
Right. Like, unlike the AOTC, where it's per person in
Right.
college, the $2,500 credit, the lifetime learning is at $10,000 tuition capped per family. So one is the AOTC is per person, the lifetime is per
And then how
class.
about the child and dependent care credit? I mean, talk about, you see these, I call them kids because to me they're kids, that come in with paying $22,000 in daycare. And how much do they get as a credit?
$600.
Right. So it's so sad, but $600 is better than nothing.
Exactly. Exactly.
All right, let's go to Dino in Tonawanda. Hi, Dino. How can we help you?
Hi, Esther. I have a question about Medicare premiums.
Okay.
I own an LLC. My wife's my partner. She doesn't do any of the work. She also has an hourly job, and I'm getting ready to file for Medicare in the next 2 weeks. And I want to know if I can deduct the premiums like I've been deducting my premium insurances the last couple of years because I pay it through the business.
For you can, but not for her unless she's an employee.
No, she's
Well,
not.
Medicare doesn't come off the Schedule C.
No,
the
but he
partnership
would
rate.
get the
the
he'd get
medical. You get it
deduction.
on the Schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. No, he would get
As
it
a-
as the
adjustment to
right,
income.
adjustment to income. Yeah.
Okay,
So yes,
I can
Dino.
deduct the Medicare premiums.
Right. That you pay for you as the adjustment as a self-employed person on the tax return without itemizing.
Is that I was reading someplace says it's a top line adjustment before
Right.
income.
In other
or-
words, let's say that you're self-employed, okay, and your bottom line is $10,000, and your Medicare is $2,000. You would take an adjustment to income for self-employed health insurance. You get the full $2,000 as an adjustment, as opposed to putting it on the Schedule A, where you probably won't get anything at all.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Dino.
All right. Bye bye.
I like that name, Dino. Right.
Yes, yes.
So anyway, the bottom line is credits are remarkable. There are a lot of them. Really, we just
and the electric vehicle credit
Yep.
too. That's out there up to 7,500.
That car salesman said to me yesterday, "Are you doing lots of electric vehicle credits?" And I said, "No, I haven't done one this year.
I know.
I've done hybrids. I haven't done the credits for hybrids because there
Right.
isn't any. But I've seen people buy hybrids, and they're really happy with the hybrids because they get the gas
Yep.
and the electric feature because they don't want to get stuck in a blizzard someplace with their car battery going down. But I have not even done one electric vehicle.
I know. I did a lot last year, but none this year. I mean, and the thing is, I've have people who started leasing hybrids, or not hybrids, EV cars. The dealership gets that credit, and
absolutely.
you better make sure they reduce your price,
cost
your
basis,
cost by
right.
that too. So
Okay, well, and right here we are in the midst of tax season. If you need the very best tax help for the most reasonable fee, we hope you'll think about EG Tax. If you have questions during the week, go to AskTheTaxLady at egtax.com. Until next week, I'm Esther Gullius, the Tax Lady, with Christopher Fabian. Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. Have a great week.